The story kicks off in 1950, inside a car factory where a bunch of cars were being put together. But one red car was super special, and a mechanic was busy working on it. While he was checking the engine, the car's hood suddenly slammed shut, badly injuring his hand. He was rushed to the doctor, and then another mechanic came to check out the car. While he was inside the car, his cigar ash fell onto the seat. Anyway, many hours passed, and the factory's workday ended. Everyone was heading back home. But as the supervisor was leaving, he noticed the red car's lights were still on. As soon as he opened the car door, the mechanic from earlier, the one with the cigar, fell out dead. 28 years had passed since that incident. We see a student named Dennis arriving in his car at the house of another guy, Arnie. Arnie was a total straight-laced bookworm. Dennis and Arnie were pretty different, but they quickly became really good friends. It was their first day of school today. Once at school, they grabbed their new books from their lockers. Just then, they spotted a new girl named Lee, whose beauty had basically driven all the boys in school crazy. Later, as Dennis and Arnie were heading home, Arnie suddenly saw a car outside a house and immediately told Dennis to stop. When they went closer to check, it was a classic red car. This was the same factory car we saw at the beginning of the story, and now it was completely trashed. But Arnie didn't care at all. He instantly fell in love with it. Just then, the car's owner showed up and said the car's name was Christine, and it belonged to his brother who had passed away a few weeks ago. Turns out, George just wanted to get rid of the car ASA, so he was willing to sell it for only $250. Dennis advised Arnie, "Why are you spending money on such a wreck, dude? Just get another one." But Arnie bought the car right then and there, without a second thought. Later that evening when he got home, his parents told him about buying the car, and his mom totally chewed him out. But Arnie didn't listen to them one bit because he'd bought the car with his own saved money. Even so, his mom insisted, "This car is not staying in this house." So Arnie took the car with Dennis to a garage. There, they met the garage owner, Will, who was a total grumpy old dude. But even so, he allowed Arnie to keep his car there. On the way, Dennis asked Arnie why he bought such a lousy, beat-up car like Christine. To that, Arnie replied that he didn't choose the car chose him. The next day, Dennis was waiting for Arnie during lunch. When Arnie didn't show up for a long time, Dennis went looking for him. Then he saw a bully named Buddy bothering Arnie. When Dennis tried to intervene, Buddy threw his lunch on the ground and pushed Arnie onto it. Poor Arnie's glasses fell off, so Buddy crushed them under his feet, breaking them. After that, Buddy started laughing at Arnie's condition, but then Dennis saw an opportunity and attacked Buddy, and then Buddy's gang surrounded Dennis. Anyway, a teacher quickly came over and stopped the fight. Then Arnie told them that Buddy had threatened him with a knife. The teacher then told him to empty his pockets, and sure enough, that same knife fell out. The teacher sent Buddy and his cronies to the office. After that, Buddy was expelled from school. Many weeks passed like this, and Arnie was working tirelessly day and night to fix the car. After this, the garage owner hired Arnie to help out at the garage, and in return, Arnie could collect parts for his car. Arnie agreed to this and then passionately got to work fixing the car. But he didn't even realize when he started fixing the car that he'd become excessively attached to Christine. Then, in the evening, Dennis went to see Arnie because they hadn't met in a while. But he saw that Arnie had changed a lot from before. He was walking around like a tough guy, wearing stylish clothes without his glasses. He didn't even stop to talk to Dennis for long and just headed off to work in the garage. His mom tried to stop him, but Arnie just ignored her and left. Then his mom told Dennis that she was really worried because of Arnie and his new car, because they had found out that the car's previous owner had died from suffocation inside the car. Hearing this, Dennis went to meet George, and George told him his brother's story. He explained that when his brother bought Christine, he became completely obsessed with her. His wife and daughter had also lost their lives in this car, and then, after his brother's death, this car somehow just showed up and parked itself outside George's house. Hearing all this, Dennis got even more freaked out. Anyway, that evening he went back to the garage to check on the car. He tried to open the car, but the moment he pulled the handle, the radio blasted on by itself, scaring Dennis so much he just bolted. The next morning, Dennis was at the school stadium because it was game day, their football match. Dennis was totally focused on scoring an awesome goal when suddenly he saw Arnie walking over. His car, Christine, was looking absolutely brand new and totally awesome, which completely shocked Buddy and his friends. Suddenly, Lee stepped out of the car and straight up kissed Arnie right in front of everyone. Seeing that, Dennis got a bit mad, and it totally messed with his focus for the game. The opposing players seized that chance, pushed him, and snatched the ball away. That shove made Dennis hit the ground so hard that he instantly passed out and got a super serious injury. Many days after the incident, Dennis finally woke up and found himself in a hospital with his leg and neck both in casts. That's when Arnie came to visit him. That's when Dennis realized his friend was changing super fast. Yeah, just a month ago, he was this totally timid guy who always did whatever his family told him. Anyway, Arnie said his goodbyes and left pretty quickly. Later that evening, he went to the movie theater with Lee, and afterwards they started making out in the car. But when things got intense, Lee suddenly jumped out. Arnie followed her, and Lee was like, "You totally love this car more than you love me." Arnie thought she was acting super weird, but he still managed to talk Lee back into the car. But right then, the windshield suddenly messed up, so Arnie got out to check it. Inside, Lee was just about to grab a snack when the car radio suddenly flickered on by itself. At the exact same moment, a super bright light shot out from the dashboard, and Lee felt like she was choking. She couldn't breathe, so Arnie immediately rushed to help her, but the car was locked from the inside. Arnie was super stressed and kept trying to open the car from the outside, but it was no use at all. Lee was literally about to die from choking, but just in time, she managed to open the door from the inside, and then some guy standing nearby somehow pulled her out. Seeing this, Arnie angrily attacked him. But he was actually just helping Lee get the food unstuck from her throat. Finally, things calmed down, and Arnie dropped Lee back home. Lee practically ran into her house the moment she got out of the car, saying she didn't want to talk about any of it with Arnie. Arnie tried to apologize, but it was totally stuck in Lee's head that the car had tried to kill her. On top of that, she even thought Christine was jealous of her, because whenever they were in the car together, something weird always happened. Hearing all this, Arnie figured Lee was a bit messed up in the head, so he just said they'd talk tomorrow. Then Arnie got back into the car, but it just wouldn't start. Then he started talking to Christine, telling her that whatever went down with Lee today didn't matter because he'd always loved Christine just as much. Right after that, he turned the key and the car fired right up. He drove straight to the garage, left Christine there, and headed back home. But right then, Buddy and his crew snuck into the garage right behind him. They all had different kinds of weapons, and in no time at all, they totally trashed the car. Then, the next day, Arnie somehow managed to convince Lee, and they both went to the garage so Arnie could grab his wallet from the car. But the moment they walked in, Arnie was completely shocked to see Christine totally destroyed. Lee was shocked and asked, "Who did this?" But Arnie suddenly started yelling at her for no reason, telling Lee to just go away. Later, Arnie told his parents about it, and they tried to calm him down by saying they'd get him a new car, but that just made Arnie even angrier, because he knew his parents hated Christine just as much as Lee did. What's more, he even blamed his parents for Christine's messed up state, saying if they'd just let him keep the car at home, she'd be totally fine right now. Then he started saying even more mean things as he headed to his room, but his dad grabbed him from behind and told him to apologize to his mom. But Arnie just kept saying even nastier things, so his dad raised his hand at him, but Arnie fought back and then quietly walked out of the house. He went straight to Christine and decided to fix her up again, putting all the pieces back together. But what he saw next completely blew his mind. He saw that, like magic, the car was fixing itself. Then, super happy, Arnie asked the car, "What else can you do?" And just like that, in a few moments, the car fixed itself up to be good as new. Anyway, later that midnight, we see this guy named Moochie, who was Buddy's partner in crime. He was stopping a truck in the middle of the road and totally robbing it. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a car engine in the distance. He went a little closer to check it out and realized it was Christine, who came rolling up and stopped right in front of him. He thought Arnie was probably in the car, so he realized Arnie already knew that he and Buddy had totally trashed Christine. So he started apologizing to Arnie. But suddenly, the car's headlights flashed on and it started speeding straight towards Moochie. Moochie instantly ran for his life and hid in an alleyway right off the street. He figured the car would finally leave him alone. But nope, Christine was right back on his tail in no time. Moochie then ran into an old warehouse, but Christine still wouldn't give up the chase. Eventually, Moochie got cornered in a spot where Christine had him trapped with no way out. Moochie pulled out his knife and threatened Arnie. Christine just barreled right in and crushed Moochie mercilessly. The next morning, Arnie went to see Dennis and told him about Moochie's death. Dennis was totally shocked to hear that. He also couldn't figure out how Christine had fixed herself if she was completely destroyed. But Arnie didn't say a word and just quietly left. Just then, Detective Jenkins showed up and promised he was looking for the thugs who attacked Christine, and he also had Moochie's murder case. Arnie said he knew nothing about Moochie's death and was actually pretty happy about the news. Hearing this, the detective got suspicious. He told Arnie that his girlfriend had testified that the car fixed itself even after being totally wrecked. After hearing that, Arnie just quietly left the scene. Later, he called Lee and asked her to meet up, but she refused, which made him even angrier. Meanwhile, Lee and her friend Dawn were driving along with some alcohol. On the way, another car started following them, so Buddy stopped his car to see who it was, but the headlights were too bright to see anything. Then he put his car in reverse, and the other car did the same, and that's when it was revealed that the car was Christine herself. So Buddy, super angry, sped off and stopped right at a gas station where his friend Richie worked. He then got out, grabbed an iron bar, and got ready to teach whoever was following him a lesson. But just then, Christine came flying in at top speed and crashed right into Buddy's car, causing a ton of damage. Buddy thought Arnie was still inside, so he told him to get out, but Christine slammed into Buddy's car again and pushed him straight into the workshop. Don was still in the car, so Christine crushed him too, right along with Buddy's car. At that exact moment, Buddy's car started leaking gas and suddenly burst into flames. In just a few moments, the entire garage exploded, and Richie was also killed in the blaze. Seeing this, Buddy ran for his life, and Christine, still burning, started chasing him again. Finally, she crushed Buddy too, and he burned to ashes right there. Sometime later, Will heard a car pulling into the garage. He saw Christine was covered in smoke, which totally surprised him because Arnie was supposed to be fixing another car. So he grabbed his gun and went to see who was actually inside Christine. He tried to open the door, but it was super hot, so he used a cloth to open it instead. When he saw the car was totally empty, he had no idea what was going on. Then he got into the car himself, but now he was about to pay for that mistake. Because Christine wasn't leaving any witnesses alive today, she suddenly locked the door from the inside, then brutally killed Will by crushing his seat into the dashboard. The next morning, when Arnie arrived at the garage, he saw a ton of police cars there. He met Detective Jenkins there and found out that Will, the garage owner, was found dead inside Christine. Arnie said he had no idea how it all happened, but deep down he knew Christine was behind it, especially since she was standing there, gleaming perfectly again. Meanwhile, when Dennis got home from the hospital, Lee called him and said she needed to meet up. Lee said she thought Christine had taken over Arnie, and now he was acting totally crazy, obsessed with Christine. Dennis said he was sure Arnie couldn't do anything bad on his own, but if Christine had really taken over his mind, then they absolutely had to stop her. After that, Lee went back home, and just a few moments later, Arnie pulled up in Christine. He told Dennis to come for a drive, so Dennis came down. Arnie was acting super weird again. Suddenly, he started driving super fast, and then he even let go of the steering wheel. Seeing this, Dennis totally freaked out and said Christine wasn't under his control. Then Arnie weirdly said that no one could come between him and Christine. He totally trusted Christine, and to prove his point, Arnie zoomed the car into the other lane at full speed. They barely dodged a head-on crash with an oncoming car, seeing his friend on the edge of totally losing it. The next day, Dennis slapped a note right onto Christine's hood. It was a note inviting Arnie to meet him at the garage that evening. That evening, Dennis and Lee were chilling at the workshop waiting for him. But Arnie didn't show up, so they hopped into a nearby excavator and literally dragged him inside the workshop. They decided Lee would stay in the office and slam the gate shut as soon as Arnie entered, giving Lee the perfect chance to trash Christine with a bulldozer. Soon enough, Lee headed to the office as planned, but they had no idea Christine was actually hiding right there in the workshop, buried in all the junk. Then the car's headlights flickered on, and it started moving, ready to smash Lee. Lee barely saved herself by grabbing onto a tire that was dangling in the air. But Christine wasn't giving up. She came charging forward again to attack her. Just then, Dennis swung the excavator's claw in front of her to protect Lee from getting hurt. After that, Christine backed off to the other end of the workshop, while Dennis moved the excavator in the opposite direction. Now, both vehicles were face to face, and it turned out Christine wasn't moving alone anymore. Arnie was actually controlling her. He was totally under the car's spell now. Suddenly, the car's headlights blazed on, and in just a few seconds, it completely fixed itself up. And to make things worse, the excavator also stopped working. So Dennis started frantically trying to get it to start again. Meanwhile, the car sped off towards the office, determined to finish Lee for good. It smashed through everything heading straight for Lee, but because of that massive crash, Arnie burst through the windshield and was thrown out. Lee rushed over to check on him, but then Arnie suddenly lurched up and totally freaked her out. Unfortunately, a huge shard of windshield glass was totally stuck in his body. In his final moments, Arnie tried to reach out and touch his beloved car, but he gave in to his injuries and died right there in front of Christine. Lee immediately bolted, but Christine instantly slammed into reverse, trying to crush her for revenge. But Lee managed to escape just in time, and the car crashed into a pillar, getting stuck. Meanwhile, Dennis seized the chance, got the excavator going again, and started heading straight for Christine. He slammed into the car with a huge hit, but the car was still fighting back, trying to escape. Christine lurched towards Lee again, but Dennis crushed it from behind with the excavator's claw. This attack made that crazy car a bit weaker. Dennis quickly got the excavator moving, but over there, Christine was already activating again, busy fixing herself up. And to finish off this evil power for good, Dennis fired up the bulldozer and completely crushed Christine. It was still trying to escape, but this time it was totally wrecked. Their epic battle was finally over, and the next day, Dennis and Lee met Detective Jenkins at the junkyard. There, they saw Christine had been completely smashed into scrap metal. Finally, the three of them left the place. But then, we saw a tiny piece of Christine start wiggling all by itself. That totally confirmed the evil car was still alive.